right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Ami said, my name is Subbu Iyer. So it's a I, not an L, because it's a huge difference between Iyer and lyer. Okay, so just remember it's Iyer. Okay. So it's great to see everybody here. As Ami mentioned, I was here last year, exactly about a year ago, and it's like double the number of people here. So now I'm really tensed about my presentation. So to relieve that stress, I'm going to say L'chaim to all of you guys. Okay? Always auspicious to start with a glass of wine or your choice of poison, whatever that might be. So we've been working on a lot of things over the last year, and when Srini comes here, he'll talk a lot about how he conceptualized this database platform and some of the key capabilities within it. And then Shesh, who's the newest to the group, will take you through our roadmap. So I see a lot of familiar faces here from last time. So it's great to see people that I met last time and some new faces which I met yesterday and today. And then hopefully, a lot of you who probably are not yet customers will become customers of Aerospike over the next few months, years, so on and so forth. I'm going to take a quick, basically 15 minutes of your time, talk you through where we are focused on as we take the company forward. Okay? So I promise I won't bore you. If I do bore you, just head to the bar, get your drink or whatever. Okay? No presentation in today's day and age can start or end without the mention of AI. So I thought, hey, I should do the same. So what I wanted to show on this slide is, there's a lot of interest in AI with obviously the launch of ChatGPT and generative AI and the possibilities. But it's been a long journey to get to this point. I only have a recent history here which goes back about 40 years. But AI is something that we've been working on for the last 80 years. And over the last 40 years, even on this particular slide and the journey, you'll see that there have been a lot of hits and misses, right? We've taken, some steps forward, and then we've taken a few steps backward as we've kind of come to this particular point. So it's not been an overnight journey. It's taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of other things to fall in place, especially compute capacity, data availability, the ability to process a lot of data, to make decisions, and so on and so forth. And a lot of you actually do have decisions which are powered with machine learning and AI within your products and within your organizations already. Now, the interest in AI is so immense now that it's actually fueling a new wave of innovation. If you get to the valley, which I know most of you guys do, you'll see that. Okay. All right, Ashrat. So you'll see that there is a lot of investment flowing into AI. Some people look at the launch of ChatGPT and generative AI as the browser moment. So they think this is so big that it's like, if you remember the first browser which was launched and where we are today. Whether that actually turns out to be true or not, we don't know. But nevertheless, there is a lot of investment going into this. It will fuel a whole new set of applications within organizations. And it's going to affect every industry. Right? I have some industries here shown which are already being impacted with machine learning and AI. Whether that's manufacturing, agriculture, retail, e-commerce, telecom, IoT, healthcare, across the board. So there's no single industry that is immune to the advancements and the adoption of ML and AI, which is amazing. Now, we at Aerospike, thanks to customers here in the room, have had somewhat of a front row seat to some of this innovation that is happening within your environment. And we've been fortunate because we've actually been deployed or part of machine learning pipelines. Here are a few examples of customers. I don't have any local Israeli customers in this particular slide because you're going to hear from 5 of them today. But if you look at Wayfair, which we all know, large e-commerce site, Wayfair essentially uses us as part of their recommendation engine. And what they have seen as a result of using Aerospike is a significant increase in their cart size, which is as you check out using Wayfair, the recommendations that they come up saying, hey, if you put a sofa in your cart, they'll come up with recommendations on, 5 other people who look like you, who walk like you, who talk like you, like these other things, so to speak. PayPal runs their entire fraud engine on Aerospike. So if you pay anybody using PayPal, every transaction goes through their fraud engine, which is powered by Aerospike. And before Aerospike, PayPal had a lot of issues because they couldn't complete their fraud check within the SLA. Because you and I are not going to wait around for 20 seconds for PayPal to say yes or no to their transaction. So they had a significant challenge where they were missing about 1.5 to 2% of their transactions, which would not return a score in time. And they used to just let the transaction go through and assume the risk on their books, which was to the tune about $5 million a year, the risk that they used to take on. With Aerospike, they can complete about 99.995% of their transactions within the SLA. As a result, the risk has reduced from what was $5 million to about $150K. Pretty significant business outcome again. And the other 2 examples, the one on the left, which is a top 3 brokerage firm based in San Francisco, unfortunately we can't use the name publicly, is basically powering all their real-time risk assessment using Aerospike. Again, they use us for a lot of other use cases. We are the intraday trading system of record for this particular brokerage. It's a top 3 global brokerage. Before Aerospike, they were doing this every night, which is on their entire portfolio, on their margin loan portfolio. They used to get a risk assessment every night. Now they're able to do it every 3 minutes. As a result, their business has expanded from X billion dollars to 3X billion dollars. 20 billion to 60 billion. Just because they can get every 3 minutes an assessment of their risk and hence decide to become more aggressive or conservative on risk lending. And the last example here is Sony. I know that a lot of our customers, including some in Israel, use us as feature stores, as a feature store. And Sony uses us as part of basically a feature store that powers personalized recommendations for about 200 million users. Now the reason I have this slide is all of these examples, really the power is that we are inserted as part of their ML pipeline. Okay, this is not something new, so as I said, we are fortunate that we've actually learned from a lot of you guys, including other global customers. There's one such customer that I want to basically play a video here, and that's Data Miner. So I don't know if you know Data Miner, but it's an AI company that does real-time event risk assessment. So if you can play the video, please. Zohar's going to help me here. Zohar's not just a solution architect. He's also a videographer, a consultant, a salesperson, a marketing person. Go for it. Volume? Volume.
My name is Guy Dasa. I am Senior Vice President of Engineering at Data Miner. Data Miner is an AI company focusing on real-time event and risk detection. Data Miner is monitoring more than 500,000 sources of data in real time and using AI, looking for patterns and looking for newsworthy events that our customers are interested in that would allow them to take action really fast to protect their people and their assets. We went into a hyper growth mode, and we needed to scale. We needed to scale beyond in-memory operations, and we needed a solution that would allow us to process a massive amounts of messages every second and add millions of labels every second, and do that at ultra low latency, so that we can continue and stay a real-time event detection company. Thanks to the Aerospike platform, that we're able to increase the scope and the size of the messages that we are processing every second, and that allows us to expand our business use cases to more avenues and be able to identify newsworthy events in more types of data.
So what the challenge that Data Miner had was not just dealing with the scale, but also the ultra low latency that they demanded. I'm sorry, there's feedback sometimes. Either I'm doing something wrong or AI cannot figure this out. So, but either way, hopefully you can hear me. So really important, keep that point in mind, which is not just the scale and the volume of the ingestion of data, but also the ultra low latency demands that Data Miner had. So if you look at AI today, and this is a very simplified representation, so I know there's a lot of engineers, a lot of architects. Do not throw your wine at me, okay? Just bear with me. It's a very simplified representation of how AI is being done in most organizations today. What you have is, obviously from the left, ingestion of data at scale. And this could be third-party data, this could be company data, this could be customer data, this could be other contextual data, like supply chain data or whatever data that makes sense. Usually it comes into an Aerospike database or the data platform. It could be stored in one of several different data formats. It could be key value, it could be documents, it could be graph, it could be vectors. At the same time, it's also feeding an offline learning model, which is learning and computing features. But usually that model and the features are then pushed out either on a nightly basis or every few days back into the data platform, which is Aerospike in this case. And that is what is feeding the real-time decisions. Okay, that's what's happening today. As you can see, there is a specific challenge here, which is that the model and the features that the real-time decisions are being made on are actually dated or behind where the reality is, because it's an offline learning model. And depending on whatever your lag is between when the features are computed and they're loaded back into the real-time decisioning engine, you have to deal with that particular lag. We believe the future of AI and the potential of AI is to move to real-time data across the life cycle, which is the learning cannot continue to be offline. It needs to happen inline or more continuous in fashion. And the reason for that is, if you're able to ingest similar data, feed it into your data platform and the learning model, which is constantly learning and spitting out those features back into the data platform, then the decisions that are being made are much more real time. That brings into picture better context, more accuracy, obviously resulting into better decisions. Because the world is constantly changing. So if you are making decisions on features which are lagging by a day or even a couple of days, your decisions are not going to be the most accurate or most contextual, if you will. Okay? So that's one thing that we see as kind of one of the steps forward as far as AI is concerned. Now to do this, you need a platform which can support that mixed workload, if you will, constant read and write, unlimited scale, everything that Aerospike was built for from day one. So we believe, as we further work with customers, this is an area that we can participate in as AI moves into the world of real-time data. And to make this a reality, you need unlimited scale, which I know a lot of our customers use Aerospike for. Low latency is really important because you want to make these decisions in real time. Always on, something that is built into the platform. And one of the drawbacks you'll hear about AI is it's incredibly expensive. Incredibly expensive to actually build a LLM or a large language model. And usually most of you will either use an LLM or some off-the-shelf model and then augment it with your own data set, which is proprietary to you. Because it will make you competitive. Because that's the competitive advantage that you can drive, actually augmenting an off-the-shelf model with your own data. And then really helping that make decisions. So cost is going to be an important characteristic for the wider adoption of AI. So as Srini comes here, he'll talk to you a lot about how the platform is architected to deliver not just the first three aspects, but also kind of the low cost. A segue from here, as we were talking to our customers and being used in these ML pipelines, we saw that a lot of customers actually were using graphs within their ML pipelines. PayPal, the example that I use for fraud, it actually uses a graph solution. So they build their graph offline and then they deploy it on Aerospike. That's what basically runs their fraud engine. So there was a significant feedback from a customer base that they wanted us to provide a graph solution that can scale significantly, because the graph solutions that are available in the market today are great, but they're great to get started, but they don't support their scale aspirations. So a week before, we announced Aerospike Graph. It's now available, and our intent again here is really to support graphs at scale. When I talk about graphs at scale, as you can see on this slide, they're massively scalable. Billions of vertices, each having thousands of edges. And when you're thinking about performance, we can still guarantee real-time performance. So hundreds of thousands of queries per second with sub 5 millisecond performance on multi-hop queries. So 2 to 3 queries, if you will. And obviously, the TCO argument continues, because the 4 things that I showed on the previous slide apply really well for graph or whatever we end up building in the future. The advantage with graph also is that we have separation of compute and storage. So you can independently scale compute and storage depending on your needs. So this is now available, and in the future, we're looking at vectors. So we just started this project to support vectors natively within Aerospike, within the Aerospike database. Again, in the spirit of really AI and ML, because a lot of customers are computing vectors as feature sets and storing them as vectors and doing basically nearest neighbor searches and so on and so forth to power their AI engines. Okay? So something that we are working on, we should probably have something available. Shesh, can I commit the first half of next year? First quarter? Okay. First quarter of next year. Okay. This is my last slide. So in summary, I think AI changes everything. As I said, AI needs to incorporate real-time data for context, for accuracy, and better decisions. And then to do that, you really need a scalable, high-performance, low-latency data platform like Aerospike. You'll hear a lot more from the other speakers, but thanks for your attention. Thanks for your time.